Welcome to another episode of China Update, where I provide you guys with the most up-to-date political, economic and geostrategic analysis on the world's number 2 economy. My name is Tony. Let's jump in. Okay, happy Wednesday everybody. Yesterday, Tuesday evening, local time, with the world watching, US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi landed in Taipei, becoming the highest profile American official or politician to visit in 25 years. Upon arriving, Speaker Pelosi expressed in a brief statement that her trip represents, quote, America's unwavering commitment to supporting Taiwan's vibrant democracy, end quote. The following day, this morning, Wednesday morning local time, Pelosi visited Taiwan's parliament. After weeks of escalating threats from the People's Liberation Army, Foreign Ministry, state media, and even General Secretary Xi Jinping himself in a phone conversation with US President Joe Biden last week, all Beijing ultimately could do last night was yet again employ angry rhetoric. Beijing concluded, sensibly, that military options were far too dangerous. The US military didn't take any chances though, with the US Air Force plane carrying Pelosi and others in the delegation taking a wide detour via Borneo in the Philippines, avoiding an increasingly militarized South China Sea. The next few days will remain tense, however, as Washington, Tokyo, and other capitals in the region will watch how Beijing will respond. While Beijing has shown that it is not willing to hit a much stronger United States, Taiwan itself may well be in the crosshairs now. Quote, the US-China relationship has become red raw in recent years. Pelosi's visit throws fuel on the fire. I doubt China is about to ignite a shooting match with the US over it, but they will unleash a bunch of countermeasures against Taiwan itself. End quote. Indeed, within an hour of the landing, Beijing announced that the People's Liberation Army would hold live fire drills, exercises using live ammunition at several points around Taiwan, including on the far eastern side of the island. Soon after, in state media, Beijing listed 6 exclusive zones encircling Taiwan to facilitate the live fire drills from Thursday through Sunday this week. Chinese officials sent out official alerts warning airlines to avoid the airspace near Taiwan. Taiwan's defense ministry expressed this morning that the live fire drills are designed to threaten key ports and urban areas, with a spokesperson saying, quote, China's warmongering moves clearly aim at psychologically intimidating our citizens. This move does not help China's international image, end quote. Japan isn't too pleased either. In addition to regional instability concerns, Japan's chief cabinet secretary, Hirokatsu Matsuno, expressed today that some of the maritime areas Beijing announced for military exercises, quote, overlaps with Japan's exclusive economic zone, end quote. Economic pain is on the way for Taiwan too, though this is a storm that the tropical island has long been forced to weather. China halted natural sand exports to Taiwan. More than 90% of Taiwan's imported sand, which is used by many industries including construction, is from China. Taiwan's Ministry of Economic Affairs said that the sand can be sourced from Vietnam, just at a higher cost. Some fish and fruit imports were also banned by Beijing. Mainland China is Taiwan's largest trading partner, with the latter enjoying a large surplus vulnerable to import restrictions, though the mainland also relies on Taiwan for semiconductor supplies. The Pelosi trip has also acted as a catalyst for conversations in many countries about Taiwan policy generally, as well as wider regional security concerns, with the stability and sustainability of the current status quo being a common theme. One domestic political commentator in the United States, for example, expressed to his audience bluntly, quote, this is ridiculous. It's like a giant game of pretend which is becoming harder to maintain. And if we don't, it could mean World War III. End quote. Next up, the Chinese economy. In a bit of a shock to economists, assuming recovery in manufacturing and expecting Chinese economic weakness to come from the demand side primarily, China's official factory activity fell back to shrinking range in July. According to data released by the National Bureau of Statistics in recent days, the official Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index (PMI) slid from 50.2 in June to 49 this month. We remember that any number below 50 represents a contraction. A National Bureau of Statistics spokesperson expressed with the data that the foundation for recovery in manufacturing is still not solid. A state-run commentary on the manufacturing data admitted candidly what the official data represents. Quote, "Due to the impact of factors beyond expectations, such as the complex and severe international environment and the shock of the domestic epidemic situation, China's economic operation still faces many risks and challenges." End quote. The Caixin China General Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index (PMI), which gives a more independent snapshot of the country's manufacturing sector, was a little bit more optimistic, showing a slowdown in expansion in July, 50.4 down from 51.7, but expansion nonetheless. Wang Zhe, a senior economist leading the Caixin PMI group, expressed, quote, "Electricity shortages faced by some companies and scattered COVID outbreaks in some regions were among factors that cut into market demand and confidence in July." End quote. The slowdown in manufacturing activity has put pressure on an already alarmingly high, by Chinese standards, unemployment rate. Employment shrank for the fourth consecutive month in July, and youth unemployment sits at almost 20%. Now, the good news is that the services activity in China, off a low base from the Shanghai lockdown months, is seeing a decent rebound. On Wednesday, today, the Caixin China General Services Business Activity Index was published, and as we can see, services industries such as travel and retail rose to 55.5 in July from 54.5 in June, a higher rate than the official services PMI. Now, while we're here on the economy, let's discuss steel. With economic slowdown and especially housing construction slowdown rocking the economy, some analysts have expressed concern for the nation's steel industry. In a research note yesterday, on Tuesday, Liberum Capital, Liberum Capital, told clients, quote, "China's steel industry is in sharp contraction on all fronts," end quote, as the official Steel Purchasing Managers Index for July dropped to its lowest level since 2008. Analysts with Bloomberg's Hong Kong team warned that the squeeze on the sector could last over 5 years and push almost one-third, over 30% of China's massive steel mill industry, into bankruptcy. They quote one industry insider, a chairman of a major steel group in China, as expressing, quote, "The whole sector is losing money, and I can't see a turning point for now." End quote. Now, this is not surprising when we find that the property sector accounts for at least one-third of Chinese steel demand. Yet another example of the many systemic effects of the housing crisis. The housing sector touches on everything. Since 2019, Chinese steel mills have produced more than 1 billion tons of steel annually, almost half of all global output, and a boon to iron ore exporters like Australia. But the outlook is looking more mixed for the sector. Demand for the housing sector has vanished, and as we just saw, manufacturing is not returning strong. But with stimulus into infrastructure investment, the spending could replace some of the housing demand fall-off. Another wild card which makes projections for the industry hard is the large role that the state plays in Chinese steelmaking. For example, Yicai reports that some local governments are forcing mills in this quarter to maintain loss-making production in order to meet economic performance criteria. Goldman Sachs projects a 5% drop in domestic steel demand this year, and others warn that this is not a cyclical downturn either, but, like the property sector itself, a structural one. Quote, "This time really is different. With property having lost its mantle as the preeminent growth driver, key commodities like steel no longer have the benefit of endless credit access." End quote. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit the like button, and for anyone who wants to go the extra mile and help me continue making these videos for you guys every day, Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee links are in the description below. That is today's episode. Thank you so much everybody for all the support and for watching. I'll see you all tomorrow.